Live from the Valley, it's your host, former Miss USA, Nia Sanchez.
Hey, baby. Okay, welcome to the Hold My Crown podcast, where we dive into life, pageants, reality TV, parenting, and so much more. Join us for special guests from your favorite reality shows and some of my very good friends, other beauty queens. This is Hold My Crown.
Hold my crown.
Hello, welcome back to the Hold My Crown podcast. I'm so glad you're here hanging out. Today, we are going to talk about all things Miss USA Week. So when I am recording this episode, the girls are about to check in for Miss USA. So by the time you hear it, they will have been checked in for one day, and the Miss Teen USA contestants have already checked in. I competed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and had a completely different experience than all the women are getting while they are here in Los Angeles. I'm going to talk about my experience competing as a state competitor. So whether you are listening to this now, when the title holders are checked in, doing all their events and appearances while they're competing for Miss USA, or you're listening to this in a few months or a year from now, you can kind of get a little bit of an inside sneak peek into what happens when you're competing for Miss USA. I'm going to share with you some of my kind of funny and wild and crazy behind the scenes moments that happened before we even ever officially checked in to compete. And then also share with you just some things that I'm noticing about the girls before check-in. We have send-off photos. We have send-off videos. If you are a hopeful competitor someday, or if you are the family member or friend of someone competing, there will also be good tips and tricks in this episode. Before we really dive in, if you are listening to the Hold My Crown podcast for the first time, welcome. If you've been listening regularly, I'm so glad you keep coming back. So let's get into it. Let's get into this episode. I want to wind it all the way back. We talked about, in not last week's episode, but the previous week's episode, I shared about my photo that I took with actually Austin, my makeup artist. Like he was giving me lessons. He was in the suitcase, all those things. I talked about the send-off photo. And then the next step is to talk about like what actually happened after you post the photo, it goes viral, and then you're off to Miss USA. So I flew to Miss USA in sweatpants into Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Never been there before. I've been to Louisiana. Actually, had I been to Baton Rouge? I had been to Baton Rouge, but it was like 10 years before. I competed in a Taekwondo tournament in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I flew into Louisiana. I'm from California. I was living in Nevada. Hot, dry heat. I should have prepared my hair a little bit better for the humidity, because any style or anything that you do is not going to last. So I definitely knew I needed to just fly in very casual, kind of under the radar. And I didn't need to make a big like show of getting on the plane with hair and makeup and heels and taking a picture with the pilot. Some girls do that. Good for you. It's not my thing. I just wanted to be more comfortable as I'm going in for the biggest competition of my entire life at that point. So I flew in. I actually flew in 2 days early and rented a rental car. Thank goodness, because trying to get it back in the day, I don't even think Uber was not a thing. How old does that make me sound? There was no such thing as Uber. I would have had to like call a taxi or get into a taxi cab, which are there even taxi cabs in Baton Rouge? I don't know. Probably only from companies. You have to call them. So I did a rental car. And as I was walking out, I ran into Bashara, who was my Miss, I'm going to say Wisconsin. I think it's Wisconsin. At a certain point, you know the girls because they're your friends and you know their names and you forget what state everybody was. But I ran into Bashara and she was sitting there with a big old dress, like in her gown bag and her suitcases. And I was like, hey girl, where are you staying? Do you want to ride to your hotel? And that was like my first real connection on like pageant week. It was actually almost 2.5, 3 weeks that we competed. So she was staying at a hotel right down the street from mine. So I picked her up. We drove to the hotel. I dropped her off. But that was a really fun first connection. I felt so connected and so close to her from that. We connected over our faith. We both are Christians. We connected over so many things. And actually, speaking of connections with other girls, I did not connect with a lot of other contestants before competing. I remember trying to reach out to California. Our paths just never crossed. I did connect and like really bond with Indiana, Michaela, who was actually a future guest on the Hold My Crown podcast. So make sure you stay tuned for those future episodes. We have a lot to talk about with her, not only when she competed, but she went on to win Mrs. America. And we both have children that are around the same age, and she's just so successful in the pageant coaching world. We have so much to talk about when she's here. But her and I actually connected over like the struggle of knowing what it takes to win a pageant. You got to eat right, work out, get your head in the game, do interview, practice, all of that, but also like loving food. I remember being at a coffee shop and like we were messaging on Facebook because Instagram wasn't even as big then. And we were talking about how like, can't wait to have a bagel after the pageant's over. Or like, oh, I'm just going to have half a bagel. It's fine. Like we just like, I don't know why, but we connected on all of that kind of stuff. And I feel like if you're a pageant contestant, you probably either feel the struggle or you're like, no, I eat whatever I want because my metabolism is crazy. But you know, that was not the deal for us. So I connected with Michaela before. I connected with Audra, who was Miss North Dakota, who was first runner up when I won. I connected with a few of the other girls before we competed. I knew Emily Shaw way before either of us ever won our state titles. So it was fun to have a few connections, but really for the most part, I was meeting mostly everybody there at Miss USA. My roommate, this is like a little advice for if you have a roommate. So my roommate was Miss New Mexico, Cameron Blackwood. Love her to death. We still stay in contact to this day, but we had never met in person. So I was a little nervous. We actually decided to share a hotel room for the 2 nights before check-in, before we actually went to the official hotel. And so I had a gift for her and she had a gift for me. Let me tell you what her gift for me was, because it was the sweetest thing ever and way better than my gift for her. So if you have a roommate or you have, someone that you're going to be rooming with when you're competing, this is a really good idea. She was so thoughtful. She went out and got a custom necklace made with the shape of our states, but it was like very small and dainty. So it wasn't like this big, awkward, like random thing. It was like the cutest little, like small, dainty silver shape of our states together. So it was like our roomie necklace. She had one and I had one, and it was New Mexico and Nevada. And I thought that was just the sweetest, most thoughtful thing. I was also trying to be thoughtful, but it wasn't as in like detail like that. I got her Epsom salts and I got her like a little journal and like tea. Just like I was thinking of making like a little like gift basket of relaxing, calming things for the room. But so I competed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and it was definitely a completely different culture, but it was so much fun coming from the West Coast, the west side of the country, to go to someone that had just a completely different experience. So everywhere we went, there was like the most flavorful food you can imagine. Like we were treated like queens at the hotel. We were eating like royalty. It was wild. They were taking such good care of us. We got to do, oh my gosh, what's it called? When there's like a jazz band that's like walking down the street, it's usually for like funerals, but like sometimes they do it for celebrations too. I don't even know. I was just in New Orleans for Miss Universe like a year or two ago and I can't remember, but it was so much fun. Like we were fully immersed in the culture. If you are from the South or you know someone from the South or you've been to the South, the Southern culture is so like hospitality is like, should be their middle name. They are just so welcoming and warm and so sweet. So we got to do so many different things. I'm really interested to see how the current Miss USA title holders are dressing up for their events and their appearances while they're here in Los Angeles. I really feel like the theme is going to be Hollywood, old Hollywood, glamour, all of that, because we were dressing up like Southern Belle, the Southern tea parties with the big hats and the bright colors and all of that. So it was fun to really feel like you're fully immersed in the culture. I love that about the Miss USA organization. Their job is to promote whatever city or location that they're at and like promote tourism and bring tourism to the city. Now for Los Angeles, I feel like we have plenty of tourism here at LA. I live in LA, but I'm very excited for the girls to be able to be here and experience a few things in LA. I know that the state title holders, the Miss title holders that are competing, they will be going to Santa Monica. I believe they're doing a beach photo shoot in Santa Monica. They will be going to the Griffith Observatory, which is absolutely beautiful. But I shared it in a previous episode. I think their total competition, now that I have the dates correct, is about 5 total days, which is mind blowing because mine was at least 2 weeks, if not a little bit more. We spent like a week in rehearsals, it felt like, full rehearsals, dress rehearsals. So I'm very interested to see. I know that Layla, with her production, has always done a great job. I say always as in last year. But last year, she did an incredible job. I was very blown away about how every little detail was on point. The lighting, the girls looked great. The show, the production value, all just looked absolutely incredible. So I'm excited to see what it looks like this year. If you are watching Miss USA on TV or you're watching Miss USA in person, make sure you're cheering on my girls. Nevada, even though I haven't really gotten to know her that well, is always going to be one of my girls, not as in I coached her, but she's a Miss Nevada USA sister. I was in Nevada. So be cheering on Nevada, be cheering on New York, be cheering on Oregon. And even the girls that I have upcoming for these new mini episodes called Miss Mondays. We just had Tennessee and Idaho in the house here at the podcast studio. And I definitely want you guys to be cheering them on as well because they're absolutely incredible. But I want to share with you a few more very specific stories from my time competing at Miss USA. And while I'm doing that, also a few things that I learned from Shayna Mokler on how to stand out as a competitor. If you don't know who Shayna is, she is a former Miss USA. She is a California and Utah state director, formerly a Miss California state director. And I like to describe her as a rock star. I feel like that is just like, when I was like, how is Shayna? I was like, she's an absolute rock star. Like, she's a badass. Oh, wow. I don't normally talk like that. Excuse my language. But that is who she is. She's such a boss, and she always owns like who she is and how she carries herself. And she just like, I don't know, she's so wonderful. Can I tell you for a minute my wonderful experience with her? Because I got to be honest, when I won Miss Nevada, I do remember one of my first thoughts being like a little intimidated. Like, Shayna Mokler is like she's a huge person. She's been on a reality show. She was married to Travis Barker. Like, she's just, yeah, and she has a daughter with Oscar De La Hoya. Like, she's like a big personality. And I was nervous. I was like, is this incredible woman going to try to change who I am to make me a Miss USA? But one thing I will tell you, I sat down, I had lunch with Shayna shortly after I won, and she kept it so 100 with me, but she never tried to change me. She broke it down exactly what my scores look like. And she was like, she told me, she's like, you just squeaked by. Like, you were only, I think she said you were like a half a point or 1 point above your first runner up. It was close. And I was like, oh, thanks for the confidence boost. But she was like, but I want you to know that I think you're absolutely amazing when you have what it takes to be Miss USA. And she also said, I don't want to change who you are. I want to just highlight and like emphasize all the wonderful things that make you who you are. And I took a lot of that, and I take that into my coaching now with every single girl I coach. If you've ever been coached by me or ever want to be coached by me, that's one of the main things I focus on. And I took that away from Shayna with my first real sit down meeting with her. She very clearly was like, I'm not going to change who you are. I just want to highlight all of what makes you wonderful. And that's my job. I feel like as a coach, is like really learning about the contestants and who they are, the women I'm coaching, my clients, and just highlighting all the incredible things about them. So I love that about my first meeting with Shayna. You guys have already heard little other bits of stories with her. Like, she really, really like supported me in so many ways, including like, I didn't have money to get wardrobe. And she was like, I got you. I know you need 3 more jumpsuits. I'll take care of them. Go get the jumpsuits from Nordstrom, whatever it was. Like, she was so supportive. Made sure she had the most incredible sponsor package. I had great free hair and makeup lessons, sponsored hair and makeup lessons, sponsored fitness, Bombshell Fitness. I feel like I need to be like adding links in here. So it's like, use my code. I don't have a code, but use it. But I truly recommend like all the people that I worked with, because Shayna knows who the best of the best are. And Bombshell Fitness got my body the strongest and fittest it had ever been when I was getting ready for Miss USA. So my experience with Shayna was absolutely wonderful. And I feel like she really set me up for a lot of success at Miss USA and all of Team Nevada. Like, everybody that was a part of Team Nevada really helped me do well. Back to the things that she taught me specifically to stand out while competing. So she would tell me to just be aware of who I'm standing next to. You know, for example, if, I don't know, one girl looks not exactly, but very much like me, she wanted me to stand in groups of like different people so that I don't blend in and I look like my own individual person, not me and this other girl who are both like white girls with tan skin and brown hair and brown eyes. She's like, if you can stand next to someone else, not like awkwardly, don't move out of a lineup of a photo, but like if you're all getting together, just stand next to like a blonde or girl with like black hair, or like just someone that's a little bit different so you can stand out a little bit more. I feel like it's fine. I'll give away the secrets. I'm like, I don't want to give away all the secrets, but I can. Little things like if everybody's just standing in the perfect pageant pose and maybe you're at the end or in a place where you can do it, you can like pop your hand up or like put a hand on your hip or like do just like something fun. Like if they say, make a funny face. She told me, she's like, don't make an ugly face, please. Like practice cute, funny faces. So little things where it's like, everybody make a funny face. Some girls might be pulling their face and looking like that animation of the Disney princesses where they're like popping their eyes open or like pulling their mouth out. She's like, don't do those things. Like find like a really cute, funny face. So just little itsy bitsy details of how to stand out in photos. She always said, always wear color. And I love that because it's easy and flattering to wear black. I did wear one super hot black jumpsuit, but I had a bright hot pink like hat situation that was a part of the tea that we were going to. So I accessorized well, but for the most part, she said, always try to wear color. And then she just taught me how to pose confidently. One thing that she did do, which I learned so much from, like I'm so grateful for my time with her. She would set us up with different photo shoots with different photographers and she would come with us. And while I was shooting, she would print out like mini, like kind of like a preview thing. I don't know why I'm blanking on the word, but like where you could see like 10 different photos that I took back to back to back all together. And she would say, okay, you see when your chin is up, that's really flattering. But if your chin is down too much, that's not. If you look on your left side, it looks even more flattering, but your right side, not so much, or whatever it is. Like she helped me learn angles in my body. And maybe you don't have a coach or a director that's doing that for you, but you can do it yourself. You can set up your phone. This is like way more than just talking about my experience at Miss USA, but I like, why not learn from the podcast episode, right? So if you're at home, you can set up your phone in selfie mode and have one of those like clickers that can take photos while you're standing in front of it. And you can take 100 photos of yourself and try different angles and different poses. Know before you get to Miss USA what looks good on your body, what looks good for your face. So when you're in those quick last minute group photos, you know exactly what angles are the best angles for you. If you're on your side that you don't feel like is your good side, is there a little bit of an angle that you can do or adjust to make it look good but not awkward? So practice those things ahead of time and it will help you just also for you feel more confident, because the thing is, the people watching, the fans, they don't pick the winner. And a lot of girls let that get in their head. They have all these like top 20 predictions that they post, and they put a collage of all the photos together, the girls that they think are going to be in top 20, top 10, top 5. They pick the winner. The fans don't pick the winner. And at Miss USA this year, I don't know what it was when I competed, but this year, interview is 50% of the score, and it is performed. You do interview before you go to prelims and obviously finals. So by the time these girls get out of interview, the judges in their head, they're going to have their at least top 10, top 15 favorite girls, and they're going to be watching for them on stage. And as a judge, I've been a judge so many times, they're going to be praying that they perform on stage because they fell in love with you in interview, and now they hope you do well on stage because they want to see you continue to succeed and, place higher. So if you're a contestant, obviously have fun and like learn the little things to make you stand out that gives you more confidence, but also give yourself a little bit of a break, because at the end of the day, the judges are focused on interview and how you perform on stage. One thing that I heard this year that they finally said out loud, because it's never really been said out loud before, it's just kind of been, it probably happens, is that they are telling the judges to look at social media. So whether you're competing at Miss USA, Miss Teen USA now or in the future, or you're competing at your state title or a different organization, maybe you're competing at Miss Earth or whatever, know that judges look at social media. I, as a judge, have looked at social media because I want to make sure the girls look good. Alrighty. Back when I competed, rewind, back when I competed, videos were not really that much of a thing. It was all about photos. So I have so many photo memories, and I'm going to have to send some of those photos to Juliana, my editor and producer, so that we can get some of the photos like in the YouTube video. So if you are listening on the podcast, you can also watch, if you want to, on YouTube. And you can like see the images and all the things. But we just had so much fun when I competed for Miss USA. I had so many great pieces of advice also from my friends that were former Miss USA competitors. And one thing that I remember from one girl specifically, and I was not able to apply it, and I'm so sad that I wasn't. But I'm not great at karaoke, y'all. Let me tell you, it's not my thing. I do not like karaoke. I start sweating. One of my friends was like, hey, if they make you do karaoke, make sure that you do a song that like everybody knows and can participate with. Don't just sing your favorite song that like maybe nobody knows. Just like the YMCA or like well, you can't really sing Macarena, but you know, like something that everybody can do and like sing along with, you know? I did. I think they paired us up with someone else, and I feel like we sang like, man, I feel like a woman. But to be honest, I didn't know all the words, even though I love the song. And I don't know if this is like a thing in places. For some reason it was. They like wanted to make the challenge extra hard for us. They didn't have the lyrics up on a screen. They had them on pieces of paper in a book. So you're like trying to sing and like have this great, like, I could be Miss USA, look at me, like capture people's attention. But you're like trying to read the words as it was just awkward. And I can't sing at all anyway. So I definitely let my partner, which I don't even remember who I was paired with, I let her carry it. And I was just trying to like work it and own it. So whatever you do, if they put you in uncomfortable or awkward situations, just own it and have fun with it no matter what it is. And definitely if you get the first chance to pick YMCA. If you're doing karaoke, I think it's the only one. Like what else? Party in the USA at Miss USA. That's a good one. So something that like everybody knows, everybody wants to sing along with. Those kind of things are fun. And then you can like be really confident in it. When I competed for Miss Universe, they had us do a dance with like the Miami Heat dancers. I actually was in the dance team in high school, but I am not a dancer. And you know, you just got to own it. You got to work it. Got to pretend like you're confident. I don't really believe in like fake it till you make it, but in those situations, fake it till you make it. Even if you don't feel confident, tell yourself you are confident and you can do it and you will have fun. We did hold baby alligators when I competed. It was cute. They had their little mouths like duct taped shut so we weren't going to get bit by anything. Right now, we're going to kind of wrap it up with the stories. In the upcoming month, we have wonderful guests. So many guests. It's going to be really fun, y'all. We have Dallas Cowboy cheerleader guests. We have other Miss USA guests. And of course, we have our mini episodes that are Miss Mondays with the USA state title holders. And I even have a Miss World guest, Miss World America, who was first runner-up at Miss World. If you know, you know. Pageant people know the trivia. But it's going to be really fun here on the Hold My Crown podcast. I'm excited for our future guests that are going to be coming up. And if you have any questions, drop them on Instagram, drop them in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Hold My Crown podcast. I love spending time with you every single week. And, you know, I listen to the Mel Robbins podcast. I don't know about you guys, but something that I really connect with that I truly feel for you, whomever you are listening, is she says something like, if no one has told you this week, I want you to know that you are loved. And I want to say that to you too, because I know we all go through our ups and downs, our good days and our bad days. And maybe you're having an off day and you're listening to the podcast today. I want you to know that you are loved. You are here for a purpose. You are here for a reason. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Thanks for listening to the Hold My Crown podcast. I will see you next week.